Hello there, this is Warpath 1985 speaking, and in day 8 of the 12 Days of War, I shall be discussing the Transformers War for Cybertron Earthrise Grapple. Now, Grapple, the figure in general, is probably the most controversial Earthrise figure, especially in the Wave 1 overall. Not because all the ones were particularly, didn't really were necessarily free from controversy. The whole general wave and line of Earthrise was full of controversy, but Grapple in particular was pretty bad, mainly just because due to a really bad design flaw involving the figure having several breakages, primarily due to the connection pieces to the Grapple arm from the general Mitsubishi, not necessarily turbo, but truck like crane arm that connects to the feet, which will snap off due to really bad spacing. But overall, besides that general introduction, the character of Grapple has appeared very little but has been mentioned a lot. He primarily appeared in season 2 Transformers, similar to Hoist, and was primarily characterized as Hoist's best friend / companion. The both of them were pretty much manipulated by the Constructicons to build a new city for them to use as a new battle station for Decepticons. Fortunately and unfortunately for them, also they were forced to destroy it, and they succeeded. However, it didn't mean they had to destroy this new Tesla architecture, which also further enhance Grapple's general and primary function, not only just because he's a rescue bot, but also a mechanic. He's once again an architect. He's primarily an architect. He's always been an architect, and that's general characterization of him being an architect in general has been the driving force of his general appearances throughout the whole franchise. With the most recent example, although it's not really G1, but I had to still mention it in the whole is that Grapple was mentioned in Cyberverse because he was the architect of a small town in Cybertron. So, yeah. Still, Grapple is primarily just a background character overall. Even though, yes, he has gone certain unique moments in his general history, he's still that guy. Even more obscure in comparison to that of Hoist, who at least does get some more characterization. Grapple, not so much. Although it would be nice for him to get more characterization, even though, yes, his more popular bold brother, technically, Inferno, does overshadow him a lot, especially since Inferno is a fire engine, and obviously fire engines do sell significantly better in comparison to a maintenance truck. Besides that, Grapple, the figure itself, does come with 3 unique accessories, 2 of which would remain not exclusive to this particular configuration of the mold, but the claw arm would also be included with Holler, mainly just because Holler was also shown to be in the Dream cartoon. However, he was colored as Grapple, mainly due to the fact that Grapple was originally supposed to be in the first wave of the Transformers in 1984. However, he was cut and replaced with a second Barrage in most of the, not sure deluxe, more just the standard line of figures. However, was included in the next year. Although Holler would still remain a recurring character in various media, and be further expanded upon by the time of E-Hobby, along with the other long-lost Constructicon member, that being Gravedigger. Although mostly the 2 will still remain as background characters as well. Although both Hoist, Grapple, Holler, and rest of Constructicons would be shown off in the UW Devastator mural that was attached to the box, and will also be involved in various storylines as well in the manga. However, Holler is still adjacently his own unique character and not really related, besides his general look and function being similar to that of Grapple, which I think that set that aside. But generally, his accessories are all based off his version from the cartoon / toy / virtual toy And he does have a unique gimmick where he can flip out his hands to reveal a primary mirror port, like so. This is mainly for transformation, by the way, but it is a cool feature nonetheless. Although he wouldn't be the first or last figure to have this gimmick. But generally all his accessories based off his cartoon / original toy, with the claw arm being a reference to the cartoon, I believe in the same episode where the Constructicons where the Constructicons and Hoist and Grapple to team up together. But nevertheless, it is still pretty cool. It does come with accessory that was primarily featured in the cartoon overall. However, it can be attached to the primary port as well, which is how primarily it's supposed to be used. Although only we use this accessory in a storage, only store the accessory on the backpack rather than use it. Although I do use it for Holler to differentiate the two, other than just simply the colors being the huge difference between both of them. However, it does come with its own nozzle here / missile, and this is your standard general nozzle overall throughout the whole, technically not the most that this figure is retooled and etc. So it's recolored into. And yeah, it's just a simple little missile / nozzle. It's supposed to be used for either to be, well, a missile launcher, a missile itself, just a rocket, or as a nozzle to either use as a welding tool or shoot out water and etc. He also has a blaster, which is, my camera's not focusing that well, unique to this turtle mold as well. It is a reference, not a reference, but a homage to the original blaster as well. Really just is based off of it. And it's also based off of his blaster seen mostly in the cartoon. However, in the cartoon it was slightly simplified. Even more in Transformers the movie, where Grapple, unlike most other 85 casts, did appear in, but mainly in the background. And fortunately, he did survive after the assault on Autobot City, or daily defense in his case of Autobot City. For comparison, I shall first show off Grapple with Hoist, then his other Mitsubishi, I won't say turbo, but so it's Mitsubishi truck mold buddies, I guess, with Holler, and also Artfire, who has yellowed, although this is a secondary hand copy of the figure. Most figures of Artfire will unfortunately yellow over time, including my Holler did yellow as well, but not as dramatically in comparison. Technically Grapple as well, but once again, not as dramatically in comparison with, well, Artfire. Here is Grapple with Inferno. Also, they do both look very good together. For articulation of Grapple, it's very simple overall. He has no wrist swivels. He has a swivel at the head, hinged shoulders, swivels as well, bicep cut, a waist rotation which is limited due to the small hook here, which you can move for better range. The legs can get very, very far both forward and back. He has a very good knee bend, excellent ankle articulation due to the transformation, and a very nice spread. But overall, that's pretty much it for Grapple when it comes to articulation. He may be very good in the lower half of the figure's body, however in the upper half it is very limited, especially further limited by the fact that he's a very clunky design, so we don't really get that much general dynamism with him. However, that's pretty much okay overall, but it's a little harder with figures who are a lot more active in comparison to his characterization where he's architect, so he's not usually as generally more active in comparison to Inferno where he's still a firefighter / rookie ski bot. When it comes to transformation of Grapple, it's actually fairly easy overall, even though yes, it is relatively speaking somewhat of a hassle, especially in my copy where both the ports / pegs were broken, so that means the rear is unfortunately very loose. Trying to unplug this piece here. There we go. And here is Grapple in his Mitsubishi truck mode. You can store his nozzle here in vehicle mode / truck mode. His blaster on the side, and the claw arm attachment here as well. However, it's mainly supposed to be attached here. Hit this inside like so. Send that. And like that, he has a little claw arm as seen in G1 cartoon. And also this is articulated with a ratchet. But unfortunately, due to the fact that most gun pegs are broken, it won't really sit that well. But yeah, it is ratcheted. This can extend as well, as you saw before. It also can rotate a full 360. Also with Grapple, it does have a gimmick where you can attach either one of the various airlock compatible figures / parts onto him, so you can carry it around like so, which is pretty cool. It's kind of like I did in the cartoon as well. And for comparisons with the other Mitsubishi trucks, those have Artfire, Inferno, and let's move back here, Hauler. And honestly, all these figures look very good together in their various Mitsubishi truck modes. And with that, I would like to mention before I end the review and recommendations, etc., that yes, future reviewers did fix the tab problem. For example, with Hauler here, they did fix it by shortening the peg so that it will no longer be affected by this shallow part that's deeper inside the foot that primarily causes breakages with Grapple, which is pretty cruel. It was first introduced with Inferno, although with Hauler they did remold it with the tooling from Inferno. And I would assume that since we're getting a Hoist reissue and it's already out in stores, that when Grapple does get reissued, hopefully he would have those fixed pegs seen with Holler, Inferno, and Artfire. Although I do recommend Earthrise Grapple, I don't also recommend him as well due to the fact that he does break very easily with those very shallow ports that pretty much allow the pegs to break very easily. And for that reason, I don't really recommend this figure unless you're willing to modify it, which is usually done by just simply shaving down the pegs, and it should be able to prevent any breakages. Like Larkin's Lair and other YouTubers as well, primarily where I first heard this fix was from Larkin's Lair, and I believe also Kato Toys and maybe Lazy Eyebrow, but also after the whole event even occurred in general, Dr. Lockdown also mentioned it, where you just had to shave down pegs and you'd be pretty much okay. But for now, I don't really recommend Grapple overall. Although, yes, he is a really good figure. That problem does overshadow the general recommendation and my love for the figure. Even though, yes, I do really like the other figures from this mold, a hard figure to recommend. But yeah, that's all for day 8 to 12 Days of War. Like, comment, and subscribe, and hopefully I shall see you for day 9. Bye.